give us a view of the EPA's federal oversight of cleanup. Rick McLeod will come in and talk about the community reuse organization. Then we'll go through and do recruitment and retention. We'll take a break then. We'll hear public comments, and then we'll take a vote on the 4 draft recommendations that y'all sent forward for today. After that, we'll have some closing remarks, and we'll be done. I want to remind you of your meeting rules. I know we went over this yesterday. I want to do this one more time. I'm going to ask you all to help us adhere to the agenda times. We have a lot to do today, as you can see. Please listen and respect other people's points of view. Participate and ask questions, though. We had a lot of great questions.
So, you've first lead around it for shielding. You've got what we call fiberboard that provides thermal protection. I mentioned the survey. We didn't see any containers that are that way. And we completed the random stuff in samples in 2010. 2007, we started the destructive examinations, and we've been doing it every year. And we plan on doing it as long as it is. I mentioned Los Alamos has a shelf life program. We got this idea from the weapons program. In the weapons program, they actually take pits or weapon components. They bring them in at Los Alamos, they instrument them, they monitor them, they set them on the shelf. This is kind of what we've done. This is what we call the small scale. Each one of these containers has samples of plutonium. We have a sample of every bit of plutonium that's at Savannah River in one of these containers, a type. We again look for pressurization, we look for corrosion, different things. We can do a lot more with small scales than we can with large scales. Los Alamos does have some full-scale testing just to make sure that we are seeing the same correlation. These are, as you can see, a full-up 3013. We have about 12 in this glove box that we can store and instrument. We compare the results from this to what we actually see in K area when we do the surveillances. If there's an anomaly between the two, then we have to figure out what's going on. It's kind of a confirmation of what we do. Again, this is after we when we cut the cans open in K area, we actually, we take the lids and we cut them off and we send them up to SRNL. They do either a scanning electron microscope or we have what we call a confocal microscope. We're looking at the well region to see if we're seeing any stress corrosion, especially in the inner can, because that's what we're the most concerned with. It's a picture of what the plutonium oxide looks like in the cans. This is an actual can in K area. This is a convenience can. The 2 outer cans have been taken off. This is actually what the material looks like. We then dump it into a pan. That's where we take the samples. We take relative humidity samples, temperature samples of the material. Again, what we've seen, maximum pressure we've seen inside the container, 10 psi. It's not a flammable gas mixture in the container. I want to make sure people understand that, because there is hydrogen present, but there's no oxygen in the can. The plutonium has reabsorbed the oxygen. There is hydrogen. We've seen some corrosion on the convenience can. It's usually in the headspace, the part above the oxide or in the interface area. We've seen minimal corrosion on the inner can around the weld area, and the reason we see some there is that can is not sealed. So you do get a transfer of the atmospheres between those two. We have not seen a single blemish on the outer can. We've seen nothing that would challenge a 50-year storage life. And we're going to continue to do destructive examinations in K and the shelf life to validate storage as long as the material is in storage at Savannah River is the goal. Blend down. How are we getting rid of the material we're talking about? And here, I want to make sure everybody understands, we are talking about the non-moxable material that EM owns. This is not the big, how do we disposition 34 tons or the big program that NNSA is looking at as a potential alternative to MOX. This is material that Savannah River has been stored or will be storing that came to us, and prior to 2012, we were dissolving it in HB line and H Canyon. We were transferring it to the high-level waste to be incorporated in the glass. So a way of disposing of it However, it doesn't leave the state of South Carolina because right now there is not a repository. The other part is how to, incorporating it into high-level waste glass is the most expensive way to disposition this material. So in 2012, working with Dr. Trier, who was EM1 at the time, we changed and began doing what we call dry down blending. It puts an inert agent in there. You mix the plutonium with it, and then it can be disposed of at the waste isolation pilot plant. We did that in 2012. 2013, due to budget constraints, we terminated that operations in H area. We down blended, just to let you know, about 61 kilograms of plutonium. We were in the middle of shipping it out to WIP, or the Waste Isolation Pilot Plant, when they had the incident in 2014, Valentine's Day. And therefore, everything was shut down at that point. Since then, we have resumed shipments back to WIP. There were 8 shipments at Savannah River. 7 of them have now been shipped to WIP, and we hope to get the next one within this coming month. Where are we? We have a record of decision that was issued in 2016, I think, that says we have the authority and the approval to downblend as much as 6 metric tons of non-MOXable plutonium. That is plutonium that's not suitable no matter what we do to go to MOX. It's either isotopically or got so much impurities it couldn't make it. We talked about the surveillance. We were doing 18 to begin with. We're down to 6, which means there was plenty of time in K area that we could utilize the same staff, the same glove boxes to do downblending there. To do the 6, it takes about 3 months, so I've got 9 months of time that I can be doing downblending. So in 2017, we began downblending. We've been working on that. We had some problems with the destructive examinations. We had a failure of our can cutter, which took us down for a little while. And then this summer, we shut down the I knew y'all didn't want to hear.